President orders European Union ambassador to leave the country within 72 hours. Guinea-Bissau indicates interest to train personnel in Nigeria. And also Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea agrees to jointly map out a disputed border area. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this edition of Global Update, and it promises to be an interesting one. My name is Oyeyemi Ajayi. Welcome to Global Update. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has ordered the European Union's ambassador Isabel Pedrosa to leave the country. This is coming hours after the EU slammed sanctions on more Venezuelan officials. The European Council had earlier added 11 leading Venezuelan officials to its list of those subject to restrictive measures for undermining democracy and the rule of law. It accused them of acting against the National Assembly, which is led by opposition leader Juan Guaido. Maduro announced the ambassador's expulsion in an address on state television, saying that those who can't respect Venezuela should leave it. The European Council, made up largely of national leaders, said the individuals targeted were guilty of stripping several assembly members, including Guaido, of parliamentary immunity and of carrying out politically motivated prosecutions. Now, despite struggling with economic sanctions placed on Venezuela by the United States, as well as the interference in the country's politics, Venezuela remains one amongst other countries with low cases of coronavirus. This is said to be due to the early preventive measures put in place to curb the spread of the virus in the country. Out of more than 600,000 COVID-19 tests done so far, less than 6,000 tested positive, with not up to 60 deaths recorded.
Need to enforce Guaido on the Venezuelans. What's your view? And as regards this election that's coming up, first, how do you intend to go by it in regards to the COVID-19 pandemic, and also ensuring a free election in the parliament?
I believe, I tell you some times ago, Guaido is not the leader of the opposition. He's a puppet who was put by some foreign powers to make one specific job, more than 1 year ago. Today in Venezuela, some people say Guaido is very respectful about the quarantine. Anybody see Guaido? Because this terrorist movement, Voluntad Popular, this political and extremist and supremacist sector of the United States don't have any real influence, any real connection with the reality in the country. The parliamentary elections maybe can be in December or in November. The National Electoral Council today this week, the last week, called to the political parties to start the process to establish the new mechanism for the participation and to make the agreement, the political agreement, about the conditions for this election. Some people talk about the fair conditions, about the clear conditions. The same Supreme Court who appoint this new National Electoral Council in 4 times before of this moment appoint the National Electoral Council because the Parliament don't have the agreement to take the decision. And the Constitution, the Bolivarian Constitution, established this capacity for the Supreme Court to cover the actions or not debts about the national parliament to accomplish some actions. When the national parliament don't have capacity to do that, the Supreme Court have the constitutional right to do. The Venezuelan electoral system is fully automatic. all the system in all the different places. Less than 1% have the manual system, and to report the votes. And more than 8 different parties of the opposition take part in this National Dialogue Board. The most important presidential candidate of the opposition against the President Nicolas Maduro in 2018 are members of this National Dialogue Board. We believe in the capacity of these political parties to promote the participation of the people who make the opposition against the government in Venezuela, not only against the President Nicolas Maduro, and also against the President Chavez in his time. I think in this moment, the paramilitary attack promoted by Guaido, the contract who Guaido signed with this Silver Corp, the mercenaries in English, okay? Yes, with this mercenaries organization. The action, the book of Bolton, when he told in his book about the different actions and recognized some issues. This is not all the truth in this book, but some issues, some case about he told in this case are the actions promoted for the United States against Venezuela. The people of Venezuela, with our national electoral system, have capacity to attend the call for the participation. In Africa, some countries make the election during this time, including in this time, in this most strong situation. If Venezuela have 5,300 cases, more or less, and we have the very strong capacity and conscience of our people to prevent the COVID, I believe we can organize a very strong, very credible, and successful election this year.
Part of the discussions we've had earlier talked about maybe the blockade from US and the Venezuelan government having its way around it, and in the midst of COVID-19. And like what you just said now, we talked about how the country has been able to tackle COVID-19 in Venezuela. Even to look at everything together, how were you able to get these lesser figures of cases, deaths, and what are the lessons that countries like Nigeria, African countries can learn?
We can talk about lessons, but we have some experience. We have the presidential virtual summit with the countries of the Bolivarian Alliance of Latin America, ALBA. We have also some mechanisms to express and to present our experience in the international, the World Health Organization. And you can see in the official site the numbers and the recognitions about the Venezuelan job in this situation. And we can organize in 4 or 5 issues. The first one, like here in Nigeria, every day you can see, the instruction to the people to respect the disease, to respect the virus. It's not the joke, it's not the play, it's not it's not something to play with that. We need to respect and use all the instructions, all the recommendations, the face mask, the hand wash, the social distance, different. This is the most, the first one, recommendation that the World Health Organization told with all of the countries. In Venezuela, we have the capacity to organize in every community the medical team to visit house by house. We have this capacity. Cuba also have this capacity, and we believe in these mechanisms. If some countries in Africa can organize the big data with information, with digital information by phone, by WhatsApp, we have one application, is the Carnet de la Patria. With this system, we collect information about the people, we send the questions, and the people answer to this system, and we more than 40 million people in the first opportunity attend the survey of this big data system in the Carnet de la Patria. And with this information, we organize the actions of the presidential task force. Like here in Nigeria, you have the same institution, the same organization. Like Nigeria, we have the presidential medical team and the different organizations at the regional level to organize and unify the actions in all the country. And if we have the individual responsibility, the first one, and every people is responsible with his family, and after the government have capacity to receive the information and immediately take actions and visit the people and organize the health system capacities to isolation, to the quarantine, to health attention, the medication, we can help the actions to cut the distribution chain of the disease. This is the second one. In the borders with Brazil and Colombia, because we have, I tell you, more than 5,000. More than 80% of these 5,000 are people who come from Colombia, from Brazil, from the other countries. This is not the communitary case. It is not the local contagious. And in the border, we established the mechanisms to prevent the enter of the disease. I think this action is very important. Now, we have some problems in some specific areas in the country because maybe one person say, no, I don't go to the official area to pay the quarantine. And I use the irregular entrance to the country to avoid the quarantine and the isolation center. And now these people promote the disease in his family and in his area and his community. We are working to solve this problem. It's not easy because we have a very long borders with Colombia, with Brazil. And the other is the international and multilateral cooperation actions. We are working with China, with Russia, with Iran, with the World Health Organization, with the Pan American Health Organization, with different institutions in the world to receive the help if we need, or to share our capacities if it's possible, to attend the situation in Venezuela and in our country. With the Caribbean countries, Cuba is a very strong model to the solidarity with the medical teams that they send to different parts in the world, in this case, not only in this occasion with the COVID-19, before with the Ebola, before with the different medical emergencies. The Cuban people is a very strong example in this area. And we are working and share with Cuba our experience. I think if the people have the responsibility, if the government have the capacity to attend in the medical sector all the different cases, if we organize the capacities to cut the contact of the people with disease and the other, and also if we work together with the World and health organizations, I think we can share this experience. In this moment, if Brazil, you can make compare the actions. In Venezuela, when we have maybe 11 cases, we establish the total lockdown. But not like some countries with the military and policial force in the street. No, it was the specific and special call of the President Nicolás Maduro to the Venezuelan people to have the conscience, to have the initiative to respect the lockdown. And we have 70 days with less than 1,000 cases. When the people come from Colombia, from Brazil, from other countries to Venezuela, I tell you, more than 60, I don't know what other countries have this situation, but if you receive more than 60,000 people from the other countries, you need to organize the conditions to can attend these people. These people can comply with the isolation and quarantine, and after that, we provide the conditions. We provide the accommodation, food, transportation, medical attention, all the service was provided by the government to these people. But unfortunately, some people don't respect these mechanisms, use the irregular ways to enter to Venezuela, and that situation increased the number of cases. I think the President Maduro tell about the COVID-19, this disease come to stay with us during a long time. And we need to organize our life in this new situation, the new normality. Our job, our life, our study, here in Nigeria, like in Venezuela, the class, the schools, the university were stopped. And I think the experience that we have independent of our internal reality, we can share and we can promote the most effective actions.
Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea have agreed to jointly map out a disputed border area after skirmishes between their troops left several wounded and property destroyed. Officials from the two countries are asking hundreds of traders and farmers who relocated because of the clashes to return to the disputed area, but some are quite reluctant. Officials from Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea agreed to work on defining their disputed border after a crisis meeting. Cameroon's South Region Governor Felix Nguele said in the past 2 weeks there have been several skirmishes along the border with Equatorial Guinea's military. Now, welcome back. The program is still Global Update, where we bring to you developments around the world as they unfold in the course of the week. The president of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, has acknowledged Nigeria's non-interference in the domestic politics of Guinea-Bissau. He applauded the neutral position taken by Nigeria during tense Guinea-Bissau rerun presidential elections, noting that the country's stand was that the results must be announced without rigging, reflecting the true democracy Guinea-Bissau stands for. The president indicated its country's desire for the training of its personnel in Nigeria. And that's Global Update this week. Join us another time for another interesting package of the program. Remember that coronavirus is real, so ensure to observe the stipulated guidelines as instructed by the Nigerian Ministry of Health and the Nigerian Center for Disease Control. I am Oyeyemi Ajayi. Bye for now.